Hearing his voice, Kim felt a small sense of relief wash over her. She told him it was her, and Woobin, clearly concerned, asked if she was all right and if she needed anything. Kim, her voice quiet and urgent, told him that she needed his help and asked him to come see her. She didn't have enough time to explain everything over the phone. Woobin responded that he was currently not in Korea, but as soon as he returned, he would come see her. Kim felt a flicker of hope at his words. She thanked him and said she would wait for him before hanging up. As she returned to her cell, Kim held on to that sliver of hope tightly. In a world that had turned cold and unforgiving, Woobin's voice had reminded her that she wasn't completely alone. Back at the hospital, Sunjin remained in the waiting area, his anxiety visibly growing with each passing minute. His family had since joined him, all gathered in anticipation, silently praying and hoping for good news about Minsu. The atmosphere was tense, weighed down by uncertainty and fear. Realizing just how distressed Sunjin was, his sister Yuna gently reached out and held his hand. He looked at her, briefly noticing her freshly styled hair, and forced a weak smile, telling her she looked good, a small attempt to acknowledge her presence despite the storm swirling inside him. Suddenly, the midwife appeared at the end of the hallway and began walking towards them. As she approached, Sunjin, no longer able to contain his desperation, quickly stepped forward and asked for an update. He wanted to know what was happening, if Minsu was going to be okay. The rest of the family fell silent, their eyes fixed on the midwife, waiting for her to speak. She glanced down at the file in her hands, her expression serious. She began to explain that the situation had taken an unexpected turn. Alarmed, Minsu's mother immediately asked what she meant. The midwife explained that the baby was larger than anticipated, while Minsu's body was too small to deliver naturally. A C-section was now being considered. However, in the course of preparing for the procedure, they discovered that Minsu might have inherited a rare genetic condition from her mother, one that could cause excessive bleeding during surgery. This complication posed a significant risk to both Minsu and the baby, and there was a possibility that they could lose one or even both of them. The room fell into a stunned silence. Sunjin felt his heart nearly stop at the weight of the revelation. He stepped closer, his face pale and voice shaking, urging the midwife to do everything possible to save his wife and their child. His mother also approached, her voice filled with emotion, pleading for the baby to be saved. The midwife looked at them both, her expression torn between duty and compassion. She assured them that the medical team was doing everything within their power. However, after a brief pause, she looked directly at Sunjin and explained that, if the situation became critical, he might be faced with making the most difficult decision of his life. Alarmed, Sunjin asked what she meant, declaring that he would do anything to protect his wife and child. She then carefully told him that, should it come to the worst-case scenario, he might have to choose between saving Minsu or the baby. The air grew even heavier. Everyone stood in disbelief, stunned by the severity of the situation. The idea of having to choose between two lives, two people he loved so deeply, was unimaginable. Seeing his distress, the midwife took Sunjin's hand gently and reassured him that they had not reached that point yet. She explained that making such a decision was a last resort, and in most cases, it never came to that. The doctors were committed to ensuring that both mother and child would make it through safely. Just as she was about to walk away, Minsu's mother reached out and clutched her hand. Her eyes were brimming with tears as she begged the midwife to save her daughter's life, emphasizing that Minsu was her only child. The midwife gave her a solemn nod and reassured her once more that they would do their absolute best before turning and heading back toward the delivery room. Sunjin remained frozen in place, unable to move or speak. The weight of what he had just heard pressed down on him like a boulder. His father approached him quietly. placing a comforting hand on his shoulder and urging him to stay strong, for Minsu and for the baby. He expressed his belief that everything would turn out fine, but Sunjin, overwhelmed and suffocating with fear and helplessness, didn't say a word. Instead, he abruptly turned and ran out of the waiting area, his heart heavy, his mind spiraling. The thought of losing either Minsu or their unborn child was too much to bear.